Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this workshop to discuss the development of a planning and design 811 ticket in the excavation process. I'm Bill Johns, and with me is member Marshall Johnson, and we are the board's planning and design committee. This meeting will be run differently from our regular board meetings as it is a workshop, and we will be inviting the public to speak in more of a free-flowing dialogue on the questions we will present. I will serve as an acting chair today, and there will be other board members on the line with member Marshall Johnson and I today. And they will have the opportunity to speak and discuss what we have heard today at the conclusion of the meeting. So Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Bianchini. Member Sharland.
Here.
Member Del Toro.
Present.
Member Johns.
I'm here.
Member Johnson.
Present.
Member Munoz. Member Voss.
Here.
Thank you, and welcome, everyone. Just before we get started, they give me an opportunity to give some opening comments, but just first of all, I appreciate everybody being on board on this, and it's a opportunity moving forward into the industry. It's an important discussion we'll be having, and part of the industry here in California, we're be trying to even move forward and set up design ticket processes that will basically enhance underground excavation and documentation and ultimate damage prevention. So what we're discussing today is very important, and I think it'll be our presentation that we'll be having is going to really be fruitful and really, I think for everybody's sake, it's moving in the right direction. So next slide, please. Okay, and so we'll begin today with the public comment on items not on the agenda before moving into the workshop itself. Then Pennsylvania 811 will provide an overview of their design ticket options and their coordinate PA application. Pennsylvania 811's president and CEO, Bill Kiger, has graciously offered to answer public and board members' questions. As we're developing our own design process, this is an opportunity to learn how one of the leading states does it. After that discussion, we will review the workshop questions and discuss some of the possible options for our own planning and design tickets. Your comments and shared experience are critical to this effort and to advance the public safety in California. You make it possible for us to collectively understand current practices and challenges during the design phase to build a stronger safety culture. Those wishing to provide comments today may do so by submitting them through the webinar audio functions. Please indicate that you wish to do so by pressing the raised hand function. Alternatively, participants who have joined by phone may dial #2, #2, when they wish to speak and be placed in a queue. When staff calls your name, you may unmute yourself and may provide your comment. When your comment has concluded, you will be muted again. Next slide, please. Okay, we will start with the public comment on topics within the board's jurisdiction that were not on the agenda today. If you have joined via webinar and would like to make an audio public comment on items not on the agenda today, please indicate that you wish to do so by pressing the raised hand webinar function. Or if you have joined by phone, dial #2 and you wish to speak and be placed in a queue. And we'll wait and see if there's any response here. So staff, have you heard any response
present.
yet?
At present, there are no public comments.
Okay, well, thank you. So if there are no comments, we will proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, we have a lot to discuss in this workshop. We may not be able to reach all the items we have planned for today. If you would like to provide additional feedback on any of the discussion questions, we welcome you to submit them via email to digboard@energysafe.ca.gov. Additionally, a copy of the questions is listed in our website in the e-filing docket for this meeting at e-filing DOT Energy Safety, that's dotca.gov. And on the board's e-filing website, select the underground board meetings option, then select docket for today's workshop. We look forward to your comments today and those submitted via email. Next slide, please. Okay. So the purpose of this presentation is to learn about the Pennsylvania 811 design ticket options and coordinate PA web applications, as well as provide the public and the board an opportunity to ask questions. The design notification option has been part of the PA underground utility line protection law since the law's inception. Pennsylvania 811's approach is that safety begins at design, not during construction when the excavation occurs. With that, I want to introduce you Bill Kiger from Pennsylvania 811. And I've known Bill for, we were just discussing, he was started this in what, 1998. And when you say Bill in the underground safety community, you're talking about Bill Kiger. So yeah, looking forward to your presentation, Bill, and introduce you here. After the presentation, the public and the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. As one more reminder, if you have joined via webinar and would like to make a question regarding the Pennsylvania 811 design tickets or coordinate PA application, please use the raise hand function. Or if you join by phone, dial #2 #2 to be placed in the queue. So I think we're at the point where we're going to see Bill's presentation here, correct?
Okay, I have to, it's not letting me share.
Ah,
There we-
there we go.
Bill, we are able to see the presenter notes.
okay, let's-
So if you can pull that menu back up, there should be an
Menu.
option for, yeah, there you go. Hide presenter view.
Now it kicked me out again.
Perfect. There we are.
Okay. Well,
Looks good.
morning. Good morning, all. I'm Bill Kiger. As Bill Johns said, we have been involved with best practices and Common Ground Alliance for about 25 years together. I got involved back in the 1974 timeframe when my boss said, go to this meeting, don't get involved. Somehow, I guess I didn't pay much attention to that part of it, but he kept throwing me back into it. And here I am almost 50 years later. I'm going to kind of skip through the our purpose is the same as yours, prevent damage to underground utilities and facilities. Pennsylvania Act 287 is our law. It's called the Underground Utility Line Protection Law. And that whole process has been in place since April of 1975. Just shortly after that, we called the very first one-call meeting together here in Pittsburgh, and there were several people from California at that meeting back in October of 75. So we've been at this quite a while. That's me. One of the best safety processes to begin is something called SUE, which is Subsurface Utility Engineering. That is an engineering process that is a part of the practice of engineering, and it allows a lot of information to be collected in a stepped process. That process is outlined in ASCE Standard 3822 that was updated just last year, and split into the collection of the data and also the guidelines for recording and enhancing the utility infrastructure data. It's broken down into quality levels, and our law states that you must utilize sufficient quality level for subsurface utility engineering or similar technique. And that process again is ongoing. It starts with quality level D and works its way up to B in the preliminary phase. Again, as Bill stated earlier, the best safe project is started with a safe plan, a safe design. And this data is important in the process of collecting that data and providing information to the excavator to bid. And that all has to be done prior to the final design in our law. So again, the designer is required to show on the plans the information he collects, and in the final design phase, that should be B or A. And where you're crossing lines, that should be A, where they are daylighted or potholed, so that the process can be accurate, and the excavator then can begin his bid process with accurate information and eliminate any guessing and risk involved in not doing that. We also have some things called a complex project. The best practices talk about large/complex project. Anyway, that's a notification that requires a 10-day notice. It is more than a normal or routine ticket, as we refer to it. And that preliminary design phase can begin as early as you begin. And that work can continue on until you're ready to get the final documents in place, and then a final design is required. And all complex projects and final designs must go through Coordinate PA. Coordinate PA is something we put together about 5 years ago. We have about 32,000 projects in the system right now. And one of the most important things is to have a coordination effort going on across your state. We have 32 coordinating committees that are very active across the state. They meet, depending on the population area, monthly, sometimes more than monthly if there's large projects going on in the major cities. And that allows them to use Coordinate PA to actually go through the process visually on the screen. And Marcos will show you that now. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Bill. I'll go ahead and share my screen. As I'm doing that, I am Marcos Bernal. I am a supervisor for our education team here in Pennsylvania. I think everybody should be able to see my screen now. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. And yes, it's good.
Correct.
What I am showing you right now, I'm going to show you this morning here is the Coordinate PA application that Bill alluded to. I'm going to show you some of the tools that we use, the process, especially, right, what we're asking the project owners and designers to do before they actually put a shovel in the ground. As Bill mentioned, this started a handful of years back, 5 or 6 years ago. Just an idea in a room when we had a committee where everybody said, we're using this technology, nobody's using it, it's too expensive. Bill leaned over to me and said, hey, I think we can help all of our members here. Let's start a software program. And now we're into 32,000 projects, as he mentioned, and things like that. So it's really working. If you are looking to plan, the problem, the original problem this all started from was, hey, you know, I just repaved my entire neighborhood, my entire county, my entire municipality with brand new roadways, and the utility company came in 3 months later and ripped it all up. Why couldn't they coordinate and do that all at the same time? That's the idea, and that's where Coordinate PA came from. And then we integrated our ticket process into the Coordinate PA, and especially our design process into this software as well. So what I'll do is I'll review some tools here with you to show you what we're kind of what you're looking at. This is a test view, so if it delays a little bit, I'm remoted into my machine here, so just give it a second. But first, top left here is county. It asks you if you want to use your view based on coordinating committee. As Bill mentioned, we have 32 of those around the state, or latitude and longitude as well. But we're going to select county here, the default, and we're going to go, I don't know, we'll pick a random county, Cameron County, and we can select the entire county. It'll automatically zoom to that, or we can select a specific township or borough inside that county as well, if we'd like to, if that's where we're working in that area. Top right of the screen here, we have a reporting tool. We can pull any data that we put into this software program. We can actually pull as a report, you know, how many projects we have within this time frame, who's doing what tickets do we have, honestly, almost any data that we have that we've entered in here, we can pull and we can make custom reporting for. We can import files from XML. We can import shape files if they have those. And we can also add a project, which I'm going to show you here very shortly as well. We have a legend up here, the color codes that you're probably used to, we use in here too. So if it's an electric job, it'll show up as red in the application. If it's gas, if it's sewer, so on and so forth, it'll show up based on the color. Paving, things like that, other public works jobs, we chose to use the color black. So if you see black on here, it's probably a paving job or some specific public works job that's not listed under the sewer and water, the normal ASCE CGA standard color code. We have layers here that we can use. We have moratorium data from certain areas that have moratoriums on their streets. We have event data that they can send to us or put on here through there. So if people are sharing a long event, maybe a week-long, month-long event that they're closing down a roadway or something like that. We also have railroads as well. We can turn off and turn on. I don't see any in this area, but if I had some, I can turn them off and on there as well, so they can see that. Some map info, if you use that, you can click on the map info tool and it'll actually identify the area there where you clicked, whether it's latitude and longitude, the street name, the municipality it's in, and so on and so forth, which is really nice if you don't know exactly where you're at. Search bar, we can use the search for my projects, all projects in the system. It's really a good tool to search your tickets and your process there. And we also have a base map option where we can change the base maps. If you have an OpenStreetMap or maybe an open topography map, Esri imagery, things like that. We have a base layer in Pennsylvania One Call system that we default to, that I'm used to, that we use. That's what I use today. That you can actually dive deep in here and see the roadways and things like that, and parks and stuff, so on and so forth. I was noticing, if you notice where I was pointing, it was zooming to. I was using my mouse to be able to do so. If you want to zoom here manually, you can zoom in and out using the left tools here as well. You can also go ahead and click and drag the map left and right here. Just clicking and holding and dragging. And the really cool tool here, I work a lot in Allegheny County myself. We're based out of Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, right outside of Pittsburgh. I work a lot in this area. So if I do that and I want to set my extent, next time I load it up, if I hit set extent over here and hit update, it's going to go ahead and set that extent for me. Next time I go ahead and load this, or if I zoom over here and I get too far out of my area, if I hit home, it's going to take me right back to my area. Pretty cool little tool there that we integrated there that people like a lot, because, you know, we're working over here. You kind of, oh, I slipped, I went too far. you can go ahead and hit home and it'll take you right back to where you were working. So those are some of the tools. So if I'm jumping around here, you can see that. Basically what we've done since April 21st, 2023, this year, we've required design tickets to go through the Coordinate P application. So you're going to see what we require on a design ticket, see the dates and see the projects. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as the project owner first, and then I'm going to jump into the designer and say, hey, I moved my information to the designer. Here's what you do as a designer. Go in and actually create your design ticket as well. So I'm going to show you that process here right now. And you can see in the map view, you can see some projects down here already. I'm going to go, like I said, jump to a random area. Bethel Township, let's try. I'm going to zoom in here, see if we get some roadways. We do, fantastic. So in the top right, I'm going to go ahead and click Add Project. It's going to ask me my project type. It's going to ask me if I'm in construction or I'm in design. Well, obviously we're talking design today, so I'm going to go ahead and choose design. I'm going to create my project here, and it's going to pull me into the create project start. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, let's say I'm a project owner and I'm planning on doing some roadway reconstruction or maybe some paving. Let's try paving here. And I'm planning on doing some paving for this area, and I might do it here in the next year, maybe 2 years. Maybe I want to upload my 5-year, let's schedule my 5-year paving schedule for you, for everybody to see and everybody to plan around. Okay, so I'm going to go in there right now and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be repaving I-78. I'm just obviously making this up, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm repaving I-78. If I was just doing an intersection, I can go ahead and draw a point, or maybe if I'm doing poles along I-78, I can draw multiple points here of where I'm working, draw a simple rectangle. I'm going to choose the polygon tool so I can get deep here. And I'm just going to go ahead and just map out exactly where I'm working. You notice I'm clicking multiple times. There's unlimited points here. And I'm kind of getting a little crazy down here on purpose so I can show you the rules. I'll double click to end it. And I hit OK. All right, that's my boundary. That's where I'm working. Okay, that's where I plan on doing the road reconstruction or the road paving here maybe the next year or two. We'll pick some dates here in a little bit, but that's the plan. Okay. I screwed up. Maybe I messed up the map here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and edit the existing boundaries. I can go ahead and click and drag, and I can get really deep in here. If I even zoomed in even more here, I can get really, really deep and really, really accurate on my mapping if I wanted to here. So it's a really cool tool. If I do multiple points, I can go ahead and break it down really detailed into my mapping and hit OK. And it's going to verify those points there for you. So this is just the initial, hey, planning. I'm going to plan to do this. I don't know exactly when construction may be yet. This is just, hey, I'm a project owner. I have an idea that I might want to put this project in. So we're going to do a underground safety board test, paving test. There, that's going to be our paving project. And I'm going to list my project owner here, which is myself. So I'm going to put Marcos, and I'm going to put the status is planning. If it was in construction, it'd be in progress. If it's completed or it's inactive, it didn't actually, budget didn't pass or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and put it inactive. It'll wipe off the map, but we'll save it for you so you can pull it back up when it goes back into progress. But right now, we're just planning that. And we are going to do paving work, and it is going to be other. All right. Pennsylvania, we have two options for final design and preliminary design. We have two design options. Preliminary design is anywhere from 90 days out. Hey, I'm 90 days out from construction. I'm 90 days out from the bid date. I'm going to go ahead and put a preliminary design ticket in, trying to get an idea of who's in the area, maybe get some maps and stuff back. Final design is required. Okay. If you have a map, a drawing, something like that, in Pennsylvania, final design notification is required, which means the final design stage is required. Final design is anywhere from 10 to 90 days from when the final design is set to be complete or from when the bid date is for the project. So right now, if I'm in the final design stage, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, my final design stage is going to be from July 1st through the end of July to July 30th. Let's say that Friday, the 28th. Okay, so my planning stage, my final design stage right now is going to be from July 31st to July 28th. My plan construction, after I get my design finished and all that, I'm going to start mid-August, maybe August 14th. And this project's going to go all the way through all of eternity if I wanted to. These dates can continue on and on and on and on and on. Okay. So it's really based on what the project is going to be done. We didn't limit the years or the time. You can put a job out for as long as they need to put it out for. Obviously in this case, we're going to go ahead and put it in for, I don't know, this road construction goes to the end of August, or I'm sorry, October. We're going to put it out to bid after the design phase is finished, which is, I don't know, the August there. I'm making up dates as we go, but the reality of it is we have a design ticket that we're required to put in. I'm going to show you how to put a design ticket in here based on the project. We have a design process where they have to put a final design ticket in from 10 to 90 days from when the project is put out to bid or from when the project is set to be, the final design is set to be complete. So basically I'm the project owner. I hire my designer. Let's say Bill's my designer. Hey, Bill, I'm hiring you as my designer. I need you to have this done by the beginning of August 1st. Okay, great. That means I have to put my final design in from anywhere from 10 to 90 days from August 1st and have that all completed and all done. These dates I just made up, but the reality of it is that final design needs to be done between 10 and 90 days from that time. I know we're taking questions at the end. I'll be happy to, I know it could be a little confusing, but I'll be happy to answer that here at the end as well, if you have any questions about that. And it is business days, not weekends and things like that. So they do have to calculate those in Pennsylvania, like the business day, if it's a holiday or weekend or something like that, it does fall into those dates. Make project public and make project visible to all. Seem pretty similar. They are, but there's one caveat. If I make project public, anybody that has access to Coordinate PA, whether they're a facility owner or a designer, they can see the project in our system, whether they want to plan with us and things like that. If I don't check either one of these boxes, the only people that can see this project is anybody within my own organization, my own company. If I check this, which I'm going to do, anybody that has access as a facility owner or designer, they can see the project and help me plan along with it. If I select this one, this includes the contractors that have access to Coordinate PA now. So this is two different things. It looks, like I said, pretty similar, but if I select this, it includes the contractors, it includes the excavators in our state that are going to be digging and doing the work and maybe be able to see this project coming as well. So it's two different things. That was a request from our planners to say, hey, we don't want to really put this out to the contractors just yet. It's not ready to bid, but we can share it with our facility owners so we have an opportunity to collaborate. We have an opportunity to coordinate well ahead of time before the contractors come in and actually come into play. So I'm going to uncheck that now. Let's talk about, we're still talking about planning and design phase right now. However, I did mention that I wanted to add Bill as my designer in this case. Okay, so I'm the project owner still. All I'm doing is entering a project in here for the planning stages. And hey, I think I might do this here next month. Okay, now I'm going to pass it on to Bill. I'm going to go ahead and add him. And I want Bill to receive all their communications. And I want him to be one of my project editors, which means he can place tickets in our system. You'll notice these different options that we give them. If you want somebody to just view the project, we'll give them that access. Just view communications, we'll give them that. Or project editor, or even administrator, which is myself, the person who starts the project. Project editor is what I'll get him, and I'll go ahead and save that. Now Bill is listed on my project. He has access to go in and go ahead and make changes or make enter tickets through the actual application itself, which is going to do. So that's the first step. I know I talked a lot. I know I went through that pretty quickly. The first step is entering the project idea and the project into Coordinate PA and saying, hey, we think we're going to do this. There's an opportunity to collaborate. Now, when I save this, it's going to ask me if I want to do my ticket at this time. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And I'm going to go ahead and a complex project ticket must be created within 10 days in advance of excavation. Would you like to create a ticket for this project at this time? A lot of people say, yeah, I'm ready to create my ticket, but you can say no. Maybe I'm not ready to collaborate. Maybe I'm just in the concept stage here. Maybe I'm just in that area where, hey, I'm just planning this and maybe thing, maybe not, maybe the budget goes through, maybe it doesn't. Or it does go through, we're ready to do that. I'm going to go to my project tickets tab. Now you see all these tickets came up and you notice the actual black one, the map went black here. Whoops. Map went black because it's actually a paving project, right? It's other public works project. If it was a gas project, it would have been yellow or something like that. I picked other. So the map went black. People can see that and start to collaborate. They can say, hey, we have something coming. We want to join you in this project, or we want to start working in this area. Hey, maybe I have a gas line that's going to go in there and get replaced. I'm going to go in there and replace that gas line. Let's share restoration costs. You wanted to pave it anyways. I'll split the cost with you. We'll share some costs. You can pave some other roadways down the road. That's the idea, right? However, now how did we integrate design tickets with this? This was the original coordinate PA. The part you just saw was putting a project in and saying, hey, we can maybe collaborate. Sending it out to anybody in this area. Hey, it's on the application. Maybe we can collaborate. Now we've integrated that design ticket process into this application. So I'm going to go ahead and put the project tickets here. I'm going to click create project ticket. I'm going to drop it down to final design, as I mentioned earlier, and click OK. So this is actually the process that Bill would be taking over as the engineer or the designer on the process. They would be actually going in and creating the design ticket. Let's say the project owner says, I'm washing my hands of it. I'm hiring you to enter the ticket, the project, and everything like that. The designer can also enter the project as I did before as well. So if the project owner never entered the project itself originally for planning, the designer can go in and do that too at that time as well. So that's not restricted to just the project owner. The designer can go in and do that part as well. But let's just say, like I said, for this example, I went in as the project owner and I did plan. Okay, now I'm the designer and I got my information on here. Let's say I'm Bill in this case, I'm the designer, and I say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and enter our final design now. I want to start planning this project because we're going to go for it. Okay, I like the map. I can continue with that map, or if I want to update that and draw new boundaries, I can. If I want to import new boundaries that I have, I can. Let's say if I want to draw new ones inside this area, I'm only planning the first part of this. So I'll go ahead and draw this in the first part. And I'm going to go outside on purpose and double click there. I'm going to OK, and it's going to tell me to clip it. Yes. And it'll actually clip inside the original project that Bill or myself has drawn as the project owner. I'm going to discard that. I just wanted to show you if I wanted to do pieces at a time or phases, I could do that in this sense as well. What I'm going to do, I'm going to keep that map. I like it. My work site is, what was that road? I-78. I-78 East. Nearest intersection, Camp Sotera Road. I always pick the hardest names when I do these presentations. Let's see here. See if I can zoom out here. Let's see if I can get another intersecting street for the second one. Lancaster Avenue. Discard those changes. Okay, so I have two intersecting streets. Those of you who placed tickets before in certain areas, you may have seen something similar to entering a ticket like this, right? Your streets where you're working, maybe an intersection. If I'm working at the intersection or a subdivision, if I have latitude and longitude coordinates, if I did in this case, I'd put them in here and it would put a blue X on the map for me. So it would show that. Any location information. For designers, I tell them at least put as much location information as you can, but if you're working on multiple streets, you want to put at least list those streets in there as well. Say, hey, we're working on this street from this street. In this case, we're working on I-78 East from, what was that street name? Camp Sotera Road to Lancaster Avenue. Okay. Paving, it already pulled from the last one. You saw the map pulled, the paving project pulled. We're going to go 1 foot deep here. Let's say this is 3 mile town, 30 feet by 3 miles long. And the method of excavation, we're going to be milling and with a milling machine. Okay, it's just asking you basic information, 1 foot, 30 by 3 miles or whatever, 30 by 1,500 feet, however long it is. You're milling with a machine, you're working in the street. We would ask if you're on the sidewalk, public or private property as well. If we would select private property in a sense, it would say what in the front, left or right, front, rear, left or right of the property as well. In this case, we're only working in the street. It'll auto-populate my information and it'll ask me to update the on-site person as well. In this case, it's just defaulted to Joe Contractor. I can change it to whoever I wanted to change it to. Add a job number if I wanted to, a PennDOT, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation number as well if they had that. And then you'll notice the CPA project ID is auto-populated. What this is doing is from that original project that I created, my design ticket is actually going to be linked to that project ID. So now I have my design ticket. When I save this, when I hit create ticket, it's going to give me my serial number. Then it's going to take a second to load. Like I said, I'm going to test view here. So you see it loading up. It'll give me a reference number just in case I lost my serial number or something like that. I have that reference number. But once this is done loading, it's going to give me my serial number right here. It's going to tell me what county, what municipality I'm in, and it's going to automatically attach itself to that project. So if I can have one design ticket, I can have two, I can have 10 design tickets, and so on and so forth. So that's the design process there when it comes to Coordinate PA and design. So now my project details are listed there still. My project tickets are listed here in an umbrella of the project. If I wanted to break this down into phases, I could do that as well. I could break it down into phases. My project documents, we offer a sign-in sheet for your meeting. I'm going to talk about meeting here in a second real quick. But we have a sign-in sheet. We have meeting notes. We have a schedule sheet. So if you have documents for what you did at the meeting or what you have to upload, maybe maps or data, the SU documentation that Bill mentioned before he introduced me, you have that option to do so in this application to upload those documents and attach them to the project itself. Project contacts are auto-populated for the facility owners involved, as well as the people that you already added. So you saw me add Bill. He's listed as a contact. Once I place my design ticket, all the facility owners are listed here as well, so they can see their contact information and their email addresses, so they can contact them about design work and about planning. And then there's a communications tab here as well. So if I need to contact Bill and give him a note in here, I can do so. This also is auto-populated with the facility owners in the area. I mentioned this is a test view. The facility owners aren't bothered with that ticket, so they don't get added to this test view. But in the real life scenario, they would automatically be added to both of these lists and see that project come through. So you would be able to contact them through here and add any projects data through here as well. I mentioned meeting notifications. This was the design process. So now I've designed, I can view my ticket here. It's the ticket view is my design ticket. I have a final design here. And here's the roadway. Here's the nearest intersections. Here's my location information. And anybody that should have been on the ticket, anybody that should have been receiving the notification is listed there as well as an excavator, as a designer. So my design's been placed. My design has been completed. Let's say I got the plans back, and I would go to the meeting phase after that. One thing I did forget is this little tool down in here. It's called our drawing exchange. Okay, so in a easy world, the facility owners get the design ticket. They know exactly where they're working. They're sending them plans back. Also, in our law, it states that the excavator should be sending the map to the facility owner themselves for the facility owner to draw them up, draw on them, so show exactly where their facility is and send that back to them. If they want to do that within our system, it's called the drawing exchange. The designer can actually send the plan, upload the plan here. Okay, discard those changes. They would upload their information or draw it on the map or upload this. And the facility owner would go in and actually either upload where their facilities are, or they can simply go in here and draw right where their facilities are in the system as well for the design process too. So that's called our drawing exchange. It's actually literally exchanging drawings from the designer to the facility owner and back. Okay, so we have that option too as well right here in the project tickets. And if they click drawing exchange, they can actually move tickets back and forth. I don't have a file for this actual job that we just created out of nowhere, obviously, but if they did, they can upload that right here in this application as well. Or like I said, draw right on there too. I wanted to finish this part up by showing you, hey, create project ticket. The next step would be the designer to send it to our contractor. The contractor would then create a meeting ticket, which is simply just a ticket saying, hey, meet me here, meet me online, or meet me here at this facility, and we're going to go over the entire project. We're going to figure out a locate schedule with the locators. Let's say this is a 3-mile job and you actually want to locate 1 mile at a time. You can do that at the meeting. Talk about the pre-construction meeting, talk about the pre-construction notes and the locate schedule and things like that. You would go ahead and do that. And then you would base your tickets on it, your routine tickets, on the locate schedule that you created at the meeting. So Project owner's process is to create the ticket, or I'm sorry, create the project in Coordinate PA well ahead of time if you can, to start the planning process and to start the collaboration process. Designer then gets it, creates their design ticket, their final preliminary or final design. Preliminary is well early, more than 90 days out. Like I said, final design, anywhere from 10 to 90 days from the final design to completion date. Once the design process is over, you got your maps back, you got your plans back, you use the drawing exchange, you got everything under control, you've planned it correctly. They would pass this on to the contractor. They would add them as the contact. Now I'm adding my contractor there. Now my contractor goes into Coordinate PA, finds the project using the project ID, goes in and says, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do my ticket. I'm going to do my meeting. We'll do a meeting ticket first. We'll go ahead and schedule a meeting, whether it's online, like I said, through Coordinate PA. We're going to add that. We'll ask you if it's going to be in person or electronic or both. And then we'll create that meeting ticket based on that information as well, where you're going to have the meeting. And then based on what comes of that meeting, the tickets are broken down and entered, the routine tickets, as we're all used to, I hope, entering a dig notification. The routine dig notification is entered after that, after the meeting, to go ahead and start the dig work. All of which is then listed under this project, under the umbrella of the project. So the Coordinate PA is the mothership, for lack of a better term, of all of for your whole project from start to finish. There's no longer a ticket over here, design over here. There's no longer a routine over here. Maybe there's an emergency here. Everything's listed under that project in Coordinate PA. So when it comes to the design topic, I know we're talking more design process. It's create your project, plan it out, say, hey, this is what we think we're doing. If I go back to Coordinate PA to the main screen, I'm going to see my project. If I had another project in here, search as I move the map, if there was something overlaying here, I would actually be able to see a opportunity, we call it, look like this. Project opportunity would pop up in the corner here. And if there's another map overlapping, and I would actually be able to see that project right on top of mine and actually contact them directly if there was something in the area where I'm working too. So the system does it for you. You're not sitting there looking around and stuff like that. The system will actually show you exactly if there's an opportunity available or not where you're working, which is really cool. So you won't have to do that legwork. It's more or less there will be something overlapping this area. Now I can show you probably what that looks like in a more busy area that we usually use. Yeah, something like this. So there's a bunch of electric projects going on over here. They're red. There's a gas project over here. And there's maybe a airport project mixed with a water project and so on and so forth. So you can see these projects overlapping and say, okay, I might be able to work with this person. Maybe they're a little far off in their project over here, but maybe these electric projects over here really need to get together because they're really on top of each other and need to get to work. If they call in the sit ticket, if they're using web ticket entry, if they're using everything integrates with our Phoenix web ticket system as well. So all of our system integrate with this Coordinate PA. So it actually works really well with our ticket intake system and stuff like that. I wanted to show you that roadways. Pretty cool how we can take off the layers and stuff to clean up your view as well. You can see that now. I think that's really the focus on the design part itself. Like I said, I know I ran through a bunch of that a little bit and I probably talk a little quick, but the idea is to have the project in there, enter the project, plan it out, maybe work together, and then enter your design tickets under that project and then just keep the flow going. And everything is in one repository there under one ticket, under one project. Bill, I think that's what I have for designs. Obviously, I'll answer any questions anybody has at the end. I'm sure you do. If you do, I'll be happy to answer anything that you have. But Bill, I'm going to stop sharing here myself. And I think you had some more slides to share, if I'm correct.
If I can get it back.
I got it. I can see it.
Okay. Let me move back into the designer final work. One of the things that's very important is that the designer, once the designer is engaged by the project owner, they are responsible as long as the project is open. So they also have to report damages. All stakeholders have to report using a tool called the alleged violation report. That is all done through the center. When a CPA project is there, they can simply click on a button and include that entire project in the alleged violation report, and off it goes to the PUC. Again, we follow the ASCE 38 and 75 process, and those final designs are we recommend strongly that our members use that. We currently have 3,750 members. Pennsylvania is somewhat on the unique side in that there is no unincorporated space. Every square inch of Pennsylvania is a incorporated township, borough, or city. So again, going through that process and kind of dealing with this, the project initial plan, quality level D in the sort of concept phase, preliminary design, moving forward into that quality level B, and then final design for those places where there is a facility identified by the other facility owners is done using potholing or quality level A. And then that goes on to the excavator, and he then knows that the facility information there is accurate, and it reduces the full amount of risk, so that the overall process, again, using the various steps that we talked about, without SUE and without potholing, you certainly don't have any protection. Your risk is essentially total. With the quality levels, again, starting at the concept phase with D and working your way up to A, your design project is much more accurate and much safer as you do that potholing and record the information directly. And then 75/22 is then involved to allow the project owner to put that information accurately in his records for the next work that's in that respective area. As we talked about earlier, we have over 30,000 projects. That's all these green dots around the state. The red dots, red pins are our coordinating committees all around the state. This area in the middle is called the the Appalachian Mountains. So there's not a lot of large towns there in the mountains. So that's why there's really no direct committees in that area. This area across the top and down the left side of the state has undergone quite a bit of work with Marcellus Shale exploration, and many, many miles of pipeline have been put in for that purpose. So we've upgraded our user's guide prior to going to the process that we talked about, because we wanted all the stakeholders to be involved. This is a list of those folks. You'll see some pretty strongly people that have been in this for many, many years. Nixon Bellis and Mr. Ansbach. So that's kind of where we feel about this. This whole design notification process has been with us the entire time. Our design ticket looks much like the other standard tickets we have. They just have a banner across the top that says design notification and has all the rest of the information there. So there are any questions, I'm happy to respond to that along with Marcos.
Okay, yeah, boy, that's incredible, you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, so as a reminder, if you've joined via webinar and would like to make a question, ask a question regarding the Pennsylvania 811 design tickets or coordinate PA application, please use the raise hand function. And then if you're joining by phone, dial #2 and be placed in the queue.
Will we be taking questions from the panel first or from the public?
Well, I believe, let's start with the panel. I'm not sure on my list here. But if our board panel has questions first.
Looks like Randy does, Bill.
So yeah, Randy, member Charland.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, ma'am, member Charlene. Thank you very much for this presentation. There is a lot here. So I just have, I'm not going to go through all my questions, but just a few. The system, the coordinate PA, that is hooked to your ticket managing system. I mean, is this a standalone program or this was designed off of your system? Meaning, can anybody get this, or how would another one call center have something like this? Would it have to be built, or is this something that could be purchased?
That we're essentially looking to partner with our other centers. We have already been talking to a number of other states. It is a web-based system. We currently run ours internally, but it can be done via any cloud-based system. We have, again, spoken with quite a number of states. The one that's, I guess, closest is Oklahoma right now. So we are going to work with them. There is an API that we've built to allow connectivity to your existing ticketing system. So again, that can be done. We are also in the process of connecting PennDOT's system into Coordinate PA so that they only have to enter the information one time in their system and it transfers that data directly into our system. So that can be done for basically any system, any state.
Okay, thank you. And then on the preliminary to the final stage, would it be safe? I mean, am I correct that a lot of the information that the designer would get is drawings, maps, information, not physical marks? Physical marks, if I understand this correctly, would come on the final design, and then that's would produce a one call ticket, and then now there's markings on the ground, and that's what, 10 days out?
Well, again, quality level A, which is the potholing process, would require a notification so that that dig ticket would be created at that point.
So that's when they'd get physical marks on the ground.
Right.
Okay, and so going back now to preliminary and the other stages, this information's not going to contract locators and then the locating field. It is somehow going to, I would guess, design people at all these utilities. Is that
Engineering
correct?
departments, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then is there just a handshake deal that they will respond within a timely manner, or is it actually in the law that they have to, once a request is made, they have to get back? And is there a time frame on how fast they have to get back once that information is published?
Yes, again, we I think mentioned earlier that the notification must be 10 to 90 days before final design. The utilities have 10 days to get back to you. The designer is required to provide the drawings. I think Marcos may have said it was optional. It is not optional. the designer must submit the drawings, and that's why we've created the drawing exchange. The drawing exchange actually was prior, about 10 years prior to Coordinate PA. So it's been around since the early 2000 timeframe. So that they can simply upload that file, their file in. The utilities can either cookie cutter their system based on the coordinates, as Marcos was showing you in the actual design of his project. You'll see all those points, so you can just load those points into your GIS system and create that polygon and superimpose that right on top of the designer's drawings. And then it will send him a ping back that there's information for him to look at once the utilities have layered their information on the drawings that are in Drawing Exchange and within the CPA. We've merged Drawing Exchange into CPA about what was that, about a year and a half ago.
All right, thank you very much. That's all I have for right now.
Okay, any other board member questions? And I'll hold off on my questions. I guess that would go.
Member Jones, this is Member Johnson.
Oh,
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
question.
Yes,
Can
sir,
you hear me?
Marshall. Yes, sir. I hear you.
Again, ditto what Randy said, or Member Charlene regarding the presentation. Thank you so much. I just had a couple questions as well. Currently, like for most cities, they send a list out of the different paving projects they have to they're going to do that year, and some of those lists are over thousands and thousands of projects. So I can't see anyone kind of manually inputting this information. Is there a process developed for those cities that have a ton of projects that they have to do that it can be done, fed into the system, or does it have to be done manually?
Yeah, no, you can do that via shapefiles or XML files. We have that option where they can upload those multiple at a time, multiple polygons at a time per project, stuff like that. So they can actually do that via upload process and give us the required data that they need to enter in the project, and they do it rather quickly, actually. So yeah.
Yes, PennDOT has uploaded, and not all of their districts has done this, but they have a 12-year LET schedule that they've uploaded to the system. So all 12 years, they can look at it in chunks so that you can see 1 or 2 or 3 years at a time. And obviously those ones that are 12 years out could be delayed, could be moved up depending on what happens. If I-95 overpass gets knocked out, they obviously have to spend that money to repair that road rather than deal with that. That actually just happened last weekend near Philadelphia. And they claim that it will be operational, at least limited operation by this weekend. That's pretty amazing.
And maybe I wasn't listening, and you may have answered this question, but it's around the standard, the ASCE standard requirement by the state. So regardless of if you're designing something, every request or everything has to be input and go through this process.
Yes, the law requires the notification component of this, and the board has identified that CPA is the tool for them to use to do that. So any design starting back in April, moving forward, has to go in through CPA electronically by the designer or the project owner. The complex projects, which is anything larger than a routine notification, which is 1,000 feet intersection to intersection, whichever is greater in a given municipality.
That's a complex. What's the standard? Anything below a complex is a standard. It has to be done.
Below 1,000 feet in an urban area and intersection to intersection in a more suburban or rural area.
And currently you have over 30,000 coordinated projects
Yes.
currently.
And
Is that the
again,
most you have?
those coordinating committees in the various parts of the state can view all those projects on a monthly basis when they meet. And instead of, passing out forms to everybody, they can do this on a projector or virtual Teams meeting. We support every one of those meetings. And Marcos, you will have a ability to show them how our liaisons actually support those meetings.
I do right here, actually. If you want to see just quickly, I can just pull it up here for you. The
Let me stop sharing.
it's very simple. Every morning, our liaison team actually gets an email that looks like this, that they receive based on based on county. So we have our liaison initials here and the municipality here, and then the serial number, the project ID, the meeting, the date they're meeting on, and who put the ticket in for that meeting. So they actually, every morning, every day, Saturday, Sunday, and everything, every day they get an email alert saying, hey, this meeting was created that day. Here's the meeting date. And if they wanted to click on that, they could actually pull up the actual ticket itself in the meeting. Oops, pull this down here so you can see that. You can see the actual ticket itself. This is actually a live ticket, a live meeting notification. It tells us in person, see remarks. It's at 203 Woodside Drive, and any of the location information and stuff for the project there. So it's a good little tool that we have for our liaison team that can actually get out, hopefully attend these meetings with them to help people along through the coordinate PA process and design process. If not attend, contact that contractor or contact the designer and say, hey, listen, or the contractor and say, hey, listen, I can't make it, but can I help you in any of your process? You need help with understanding this CPA process, please let me know and reach out to me. So we do that for every project that comes in.
And I'm sorry, Member John, just one last question had to deal with competitive concerns. When you're a city or municipality, or, you don't have too many competitors, but in the telecommunication industry, you may have tons of them. So how do we protect that competitive strategy that they use to get to their first?
So I could probably take a stab at that, Bill. We actually, when I showed you that make project public and make it public to all, kind of helped that process. Once you put a design ticket in, everybody's notified that the work's coming. So once you're ready to be at the design process, all facility owners that have anything in that area, they're getting the notification. So it's public, right? In the planning process before that, if they wanted to, keep it within their company, they could do that. They have a choice to make it public within design and then public for contractors and things like that, as I mentioned with the check boxes. But then once it gets to that design ticket, it's out.
But that's the final design.
That's the final,
That's
right?
the 10 to 90 days before you're actually gonna do the work.
Mhm.
So you're limiting it, and you can leave it limited further if you choose to. But again, the law requires the 10 to 90 day window or notification. So you still have to notify that. One of the other problems you have with the broadband initiative coming down the pike as we are speaking, you have I call it an invasion of contractors coming in to put fiber in the ground. And we're finding that ones coming in from other states don't know our law, don't know or understand the process. And so we've had to work to bring them up to speed. And we're also, you folks have dealt with this for a long time, have to deal with multilingual situations at your center. And so we're trying to get that in control and do the training as they come into the state rather than after they've started the work. So
Thank you, Member John. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Any other board questions? Okay, let's turn it over to the public and then I'll hold off to my questions because I still have some.
Apologies, Randy Charland has his hand up.
Oh, no, sorry, Randy, I'm missing these hands. So Member Charland.
Now, I just have just a couple quick ones. So that was one of my questions is people that circumvent this system. And you'd like to catch them before they send them in, and that's probably, I would think, difficult to do. Because sometimes you catch them by them actually sending in a ticket and saying, hey, we need all this stuff in 5 days. And is that the one call? You guys have a group of people that will get with them and say, hey, here's what our laws are, and then what, train them?
Usually our stakeholders are screaming, and we have, what do we have now? 13 liaisons across the state that they're local to the each region, and they then can set up training for those newbies and work through the process of the law. And also any damage has to be reported there, and the law actually requires all 4 of the stakeholders that are involved, the facility owner, the project owner, the excavator, and the designer to file an AVR on a given damage.
Okay, and my last question, I just want to back up to coordinator committees. Would I be correct that these are groups all over your state that are talking about projects? Are they meeting virtually, meeting in person, and actually talking about projects that are way out there and not necessarily been put into the CPA system yet?
Again, in the past, they brought paper in, and we have been fairly successful in getting them to convert to that. In many cases, our liaison from that area is the facilitator for the meetings, and the meetings are both in person and virtual so that more people can attend. And especially the ones across the top of the state, they may be 2, 3, 4 counties worth of information going on in that one meeting. So the ones that are obviously in the southern part of the state where the most people are, they meet typically on a regular basis, the second Tuesday or whatever their meeting has been. The Pittsburgh Public Service Coordinating Committee founded us back in 1972. So we've been a part of a coordinating effort quite some time. We also participate very strongly with the American Public Works Association and have been a part of that. As a matter of fact, I was on the team that came up with the color code that's to my right here on the slide back in 1980. So this is a very important component of getting the job done safely, and the better the plan, the safer the job's going to be.
Yeah, and the one in Pittsburgh that he mentioned actually has they all meet in a room at the local water company, and they actually put up on the big screen Coordinate PA, and they'll go through all their projects that are listed in Coordinate PA, tackle any that are covering on his, and then they'll actually lead it now, which is really great. And they actually go through and tackle anybody that's crossing anywhere else that they're working on, which is in the city, which is nice.
Yeah, I think these committees are super important for your system working. I admire that. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, guys.
To build on that question, that comment there too, we actually wrote an article when this first came out few years ago. I wrote the article that said that everybody was concerned that the committees would go away, and you're absolutely right. They actually have been built up more because people are really into the coordination process now and want to meet with each other and want to be with each other, and they have it up obviously on the screen and access through the web, but really a useful tool in their meetings and when they're on site.
Well, and Teams has grown so rapidly and Zoom over the pandemic. So that really helped the process along, and people are much more comfortable with web and virtual meetings. And again, you can do it hybrid meeting so that the people that can attend are there. People that can't leave their office or don't wish to leave their office can do it from their desk or home in case of remote work.
Yeah, ready?
Member Jones, I'm sorry, I got one more
Yeah,
question.
Member Johnson, I saw that hand, so I was gonna call on you there.
I'm sorry. Staffing, how for Pennsylvania? How many people do you have staffing? this year?
Our total complement's 90. We have, like I mentioned, 13 liaisons, 2 supervisors and a manager. We have 5 in our technology department. And we have a member services and accounting department, which is, I think, about 12. And then 45 call takers. We are 24/7 every day of the year and have been since 1972.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, let's open up then to the public if there's no more board questions.
Yes, we have a public comment from James Wingate.
Mr. Wingate.
Okay, thank you. To no one's surprise, I have a few comments and questions. I know Bill well, and Bill, the presentation and Marcos was excellent. Thank you very much. I am very envious of Pennsylvania's mature status in terms of how you've had committees working together, which I think is the backbone of why this is going to be successful or is successful. And I hope we can have similar success in California. But I'm wondering if you could comment on a few details about the design ticket. Specifically, does the law require the utility operator to provide drawings in whatever digital drawings? And what happened? And then follow up to that, what happens if a utility operator does not have digital drawings or even paper drawings for that specific area? For example, we have some water companies who tell us they have some facilities that they don't have maps for, period. So in that case, would you allow them to, or would they be required to provide marks in the field within a time frame or something like that? And also, if telecoms provide a schematic drawing that's not positionally accurate, is that acceptable? Or can the engineer say, no, these are not precise enough, I need more detail? And then would marks be required on the ground, or how do they negotiate that? What are the requirements there? Thank you.
Okay, starting from the top end, where the law does require the facility owner to provide markups of the designer's drawings. And that can be uploaded if they have a GIS system and they have that information. They simply cookie cutter that those lines out of their drawing and load it right in so that becomes a layer on the map. And if they do not have drawings, they can indicate that by simply marking up the drawing on the map, so that and using the proper color code that Marco showed you earlier, they simply draw their best approximation of it. And they obviously have to tell you that that's their best information. And they are required to provide the best information they have. They don't have to manufacture anything that they don't have. They just have to do the best effort to meet the needs of the situation.
That's what gets into that sue process for the designer process. That when you said, hey, that's not enough, well, the designer has to make that call, right? Right, Bill, they have to say, well, is this enough, or do I have to go to the next step?
Well, and that it also brings to mind the fact that sue is required under our law. We have had a requirement for sue since 2006. And they then have to show that information. They are also at the end of the project required to send those as-built drawings electronically to us.
Ready, thanks. And James, I'm not sure if you had introduced you, but you are USA North director there. So for participants, James is with our California USA.
It's just like you and I, Bill. We know each other.
I know.
We
Well,
do
this
have
is
a
a
couple.
great opportunity to introduce a lot of work to, people that haven't been involved in it, or, certainly involved in the industry, but didn't realize, just how much goes on.
Yeah, again, one of the things that we've been doing this past couple of years is educating people on Sioux. Nick Zimbelis, who was a Sioux provider that's going back many years. He has come to we have, we call safety days. We have one coming up. We had one last week in York, PA, which is kind of middle of state. We have one coming up in Cranberry, which is just north of us, on August the 10th. And then we have the last one of this year in State College, PA, on September, is it 13th? And you're all welcome to join us. But we have been given this presentation. We've given it to the actual enforcement committee. We call it the Damage Prevention Committee. Our PUC has jurisdiction over the law. They've had it since 2018. So last essentially 5 years that we've been doing it that way. Prior to that, it was the Department of Labor and Industry, and they did not have the tools that we have today.
Rain, any other,
We-
other?
We do have
questions?
2 write-in questions. The first one is from Jay Ing, and it says, and they want to know if California Dig Alert has the same design ticket function.
I think that's a question for Ann. She's on, I saw her earlier. Ann Diamond.
Yep, and we got equal time for USA South here. We had North, so. Well, I can, in the meantime, no is the answer to that. Pennsylvania is kind of leading the way with this. And yeah, and then there are some other states. I hear Colorado is doing some
Well,
work.
they have what
and-
they call a Sioux ticket. So they have what is specific to Sioux, and they have had that, I guess, 3 or 4 years now. I don't know that they have an actual design ticket, but there are a number of states that do have design tickets. I'd have to go research those specific.
Okay.
But
and
again,
then we
having
have-
those, I'm sorry, Bill, having those coordinating committees really, really is important. And one of the things that we've done, PennDOT once upon a time had coordinating committees in the various, by county. There were about 40 of them back in the 60s. That kind of over the years dwindled, and we picked that up in the late 70s and got that back on track. And we also, as I mentioned earlier, work very closely with the American Public Works Association chapters in Pennsylvania, and on the national basis as well. I've been a member of the ULCC and what's now called UPRO from the late 70s on.
Rain, you got, yeah.
Yes, we have one more question here. One of our attendees has asked, can the facility or operators charge a fee for the drawing exchange?
They're required to respond to it and through it. So
Okay. Well, one of the things I'm not sure what California law is, but in Pennsylvania, you cannot charge for a statute directed service. So no, they can't. Now, there's certainly why we give them the tools that we have in order to do that. We have not, we do not charge for this service. That's included in their ticket price. They originally, when they came to us and looking for help, we're using a product that cost each of them $100,000 a year for users. And the smaller municipalities just could not afford that. So that product really gave them much more than they really needed. It had dog licensing and parking meter tracking and all those kinds of things, which, again, wasn't a damage prevention forte. So that's why we built Coordinate PA. I started out as a telephone company field engineer, so I had quite a bit of background on that. And that again was my boss saying, "Don't get involved." Back in 1975.
We've come a long ways now, Bill. So any other questions from the public before I kind of have my questions? So
At this time, there are no other questions from the public.
okay. Well, so my comment and stuff is, there's been a lot of insight and planning by very visionary people in what you've produced there, Bill. And yes, a great opportunity for us to hear and glean, what you've done and even see outside the box of what we've been thinking of, like you say, facilitating those group meetings and things like that. There's a lot that really amazing that what you've prepared. So I thank you both for great presentation. Still a couple of questions in. So the drawing exchange, now I kind of got lost in the preliminary versus the, final design step there and the 10 to 90 days. But the drawing exchange, if I were to be doing my preliminary as a designer now, working for a owner, if I signed up and did my project, when would I be, seeing drawing exchange where the stakeholders would be providing input where I could start building my, utility background?
Basically, you can begin that when your concept drawing is ready, and you can submit that. And then as the project goes on, step by step, that whole thing can be tracked. You can also, as the project moves into actual construction, you can put drawings, you can put as-built information in, you can do photographs, you can use LiDAR and really get technical with it. So all of that data can be uploaded into the drawing exchange, and the same thing with your final as-builts can be done using the drawing exchange as the tool to do that.
And at that early stage, the stakeholders are participating, or they have, providing their drawings within a short period of time.
Yeah, we'd prefer you didn't send us a picture of a napkin with some drawings on it.
Replacing a notification, a design ticket itself, they have to respond to that ticket within 10 business days. If you're looking for a time frame. So
Okay.
you have to have a certain response in there within 10 business days. However, like Bill mentioned, if there's progress as they go, they can always use that to enter things as they go as well. But they have to have a response in within 10 business days.
Yeah. All your communications during the project can be documented and put into CPA, allowing basically your investigators, should something go wrong, full access to that information as the process requires it.
Oops.
Do you still have a lot of, or any dragging of their feet with participants, or did you kind of have a curve where you started going, or people got better at responding and really kind of falling into line about how the process works?
Well, the first one that got fined got a lot of attention.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
There are many that really have stood up and told us stories that really, one Bellevue Borough, which is just west of Pittsburgh, was able to pave twice as many miles of roadway in their borough when they shared and collaborated with Columbia Gas in their pipeline replacement project. In addition, Columbia Gas was able to use the same contractor, and they got a 50% reduction in their per foot cost of paving for the areas where there weren't joint work going on. So
One of my teams
sharing that
training
helps
too-
tremendously.
my team's training too, they run into the naysayers or somebody that's not willing to change or something like that. That once we show them, take them and say, hey, listen, I'll show you and your team how easy it is to use. It's user friendly. Just watch this, how to enter a project. Like I said, I ran through it today, but there's an easy way, just enter the information. And once they get comfortable with the application, it's night and day. I've had people, say, I'm never going to do this. And then the next week say, I couldn't live without it. So it's just about learning it, and change is hard for some more than others. So once we get in front of them, that's why we have that team of liaisons to get out and train. We will do one-on-one trainings or groups of 100 people. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of how they want to learn it and how they can grasp it. But once everybody has done that's been on it, we've had more comments about, hey, when can we get this in the system? More improving it rather than not using it at all.
Yeah, we accept any kind of suggestions, any kind of new ideas are very welcome. And, we've continually worked with our provider, which is JMT Technologies, which is an engineering firm with a technology group within. They're out of Maryland, and they work with us on a weekly basis. We meet with them and talk about the additional items we'd like, and then build that into the system as time allows, and the dollars and cents do too. Obviously, it has to be budgeted, so we continue to bring those along. And that's really why we're offering to partner, because we feel that this could be a very, very cost-saving tool across the United States in this infrastructure crazy era, that we're bringing all that infrastructure that's decayed over the years back to where it needs to be for our growth.
Okay. So, Rain, I see another question was, and I'll read it off. It's asked, how much was the fine on that for not providing the drawings and stuff?
Well, again, that was a engineer not providing the drawings for the utilities. And that, I think it was $500, the first offense.
Okay. Alrighty.
And then we do have one.
By the
hand
way,
raised.
our enforcement is streamed live the second Tuesday of every month from the commission headquarters in Harrisburg.
Okay.
And if you go on the commission website, they actually publish the findings about a week and a half after the meeting.
Alrighty.
We do have
Yes.
one public comment and a hand raised from Member Voss.
I see Member Voss's hand there. So you want to continue that public comment, and then I'll go back to Member Voss.
Certainly, we have a public comment from Anthony Headley.
You there, Anthony? Yeah, are you muted, Anthony?
They've put their hand down.
Okay. All right, Member Voss, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Johns. Anyways, I'd like to say thank you to Bill and Marcus for your presentations. I'm the board member Voss out of California. Got a few questions here to ask. Maybe I missed it, or maybe there was some information provided, but I didn't get through all of it. This Pennsylvania 811, how is your funding for your operations? Where do you get your funding from?
It comes from our members. Essentially, we have a board of directors, 35 strong. They are 4 state appointees, so the Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of the Emergency Management Agency, the chairman of the commission, and I'm sorry, there's only 3. There was Labor and Industry, but since they dropped enforcement, they no longer sit on the board. But everybody else has a utility type that has a board seat. The public utilities, the gas, electric, telephone, each have 4 seats. Cable and the municipal entities have the remaining seats. The cost is borne by the members, by the utility type members. So each one of them pay a what we call a activity fee. And right now that's, so any activity that happens within a given municipality, and I mentioned earlier that all municipalities, they're non-incorporated territories. So every inch of Pennsylvania is incorporated into a borough, township, and each county, like Allegheny County has 130 municipalities in it. Each one of them must participate by law. They've been mandated to participate since 1986. So that process happens. Now, we also are one of the few states that charge excavators. So excavator is charged an annual fee of $125. And that pays for our small municipal members. So if you're a municipality with a population of under 2,000, they get free service. If you're a municipal authority, then it's a 5,000 serving population. So they get free service. We take what it costs if they would bid a member out of the contractor fee to start with. We rebate back the larger municipalities. Right now, it's about an average of 38% of their annual cost. And that works out to about 72 cents a transaction.
Would it be fair to, would it be fair to say that the primary funding then comes from the subsurface owners of the utilities then, based on ticket counts, or?
Well, it's related to ticket counts, but it's activity within a given municipality, because as you go to mapping, and we all of our members are required to map, about 50% of them have. So that trims down the number of tickets they get, but they still are serving a municipality. And so we felt it the most equitable to do it based on the area you serve. And that's why we did it the way we do it.
Okay, so then through that, the subsurface owners are participating, paying some kind of dollars towards that area. That
Yes.
they're,
We
that
get
they're
no funding.
representing.
The only funding we get from the government is the annual PHMSA grant. We apply for it just like everybody else does, and we've been very successful in getting that to help us in the process. But that's a small portion of our annual budget.
Okay. The second question would be regarding your design platform. Is this something that was designed by you folks directly with your own team, or are you
Yes.
using it outside? It is all designed internally?
We didn't write it ourselves, we designed it. And we
Okay.
continue to design it as we move forward.
And at this point, are you offering it to other states?
Yes, sir.
And then how would you plan on supporting it if you do that?
Again, what we're hoping to do is essentially, a buy-in type of partnership. And then as we move forward, they would share in the cost of maintenance.
Any idea what that might look like?
Well, it depends on the amount of work would have to be done in order to facilitate your particular ticketing system. Because as we mentioned that we integrated directly with the ticketing system so that process is very straightforward. Again, looking way down the road, this could be something that really serves America.
Got it. Are you partnering with anybody at this time?
Right now, we're in talks with Oklahoma, and we've talked with Alabama. Marcos, you've done some of that work. Mississippi, a few others, Ohio.
I think Marcos might have mentioned you think your system could be integrated with existing ticket systems.
Yes, we have created an API which allows pretty much any system to be integrated with it.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have, and I really appreciate your time as well as Marcos on this topic. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
All right, well, I think that's it for questions. And I think we move on from here to our workshop. But again, I see on one of the questions or a comment was thanking you, Bill and Marcos, just for this presentation. And truly is speaking from Californians here that really appreciate you taking this time and sharing it with us. So again,
Our
yeah,
pleasure.
just thank you. Yeah.
Very welcome.
All righty. So we'll now move on to the workshop questions to discuss planning and design tickets. We're doing pretty good for time. Your comments and shared experiences are critical to this effort and to advance public safety in California. You make it possible for us to collectively understand current practices and challenges during the design phase to build a stronger safety culture. So I guess we move on to slide number 8, question 1. All right, so several states have implemented design requests and have structured their requests in different ways. Below are a couple examples of design requests. How would you structure an 811 design request? Do you have any comments regarding the example below? So ticket example 1, designer requests operator information affecting the excavation area, including but not limited to maps, surveys, as-built drawings, or other information regarding subsurface structure, or locate and mark if information is not available. No excavation shall occur with a design ticket. And then I guess I'll continue reading this and then we can discuss it. Number 2 ticket example, information only, designer requests operator information affecting the excavation area, including but not limited to maps, surveys, as-built drawings, and other information regarding subsurface infrastructure. No excavation shall occur with a design ticket. And then B, locate and mark, designer requests operator to locate and mark subsurface facilities, designing, bidding, and other planning purposes. A design locate request may not be used for excavation purposes, cannot be submitted unless designer previously submitted a design information request. So that was a lot of information there, but looking for comments and yeah, feedback on this. So comparing the 1 ticket to 2 ticket example.
Bill, just while they're pondering that, I'm just offering that we did send a packet of information for each of you. And we're happy to share that. We have what we refer to as a user's guide. I'm not sure that was there, but we'd certainly be willing to share ours for the design notification process. We also have a effective guideline for designers that I did send, and there's quite a bit of SUE information as well. You're welcome to use this in developing this process. Again, you have existing ticket templates that, you know, all our, as Marcos, I don't know whether you can bring that design ticket back up again. If you want this, I'm not trying to.
You know, this is great because I really getting your input on this kind of gets the conversation going and really seeing what your thoughts on this, even identifying stuff in your system that might be incorporated. So, yeah, appreciate
Again,
this.
most of the ticketing systems are similar. You may have a different name for a given field, but that can all be mapped. And that API that I mentioned to you earlier, that's a application interface piece is already available, and the implementation process is on our website. You can do it. Any member can do it. So any system, anybody can actually work through the process. And the maps, they're standard Esri type maps, so they can put pretty much anything there that you'd like. Marcos, can you bring up that design ticket again, please?
Bill, so we will be sharing the information back on our energy safety website that you provided, so that we can provide an opportunity for our stakeholders to provide some input on how California might want to structure their design ticket as we move forward. But we will be posting the Pennsylvania 811 information on our energy safety website, so that it'll be available to stakeholders to review after the meeting.
Are you talking to Bill J or Bill?
Yeah, both of you. Sorry. Sorry
One
to
and the
both of you.
same, I
So-
guess, Bill. We got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we can focus on trying to get some feedback from our stakeholders regarding the California one, that would be great. We'll again share that information regarding Pennsylvania 811 on our energy safety website.
I think that you're right. You're in the right ballpark. Getting a notification is the most important component as early in the process as possible. And, the fact that you cannot dig on a design ticket has been our situation since day one. So I would certainly recommend that you incorporate that into the process. Again, designers want marks, but our law does not require marks. So the facility owners do not have to mark. Typically, they only mark when it gets to the quality level A, where there's actually going to be potholes done.
Yeah, a lot of our participants here are probably engineers and designers. So kind of looking at it through that lens, we would love to be, and even over the years, do some of the early potholing just to get marks on the ground. Seems to be, to survey those and what information you take it to level B level, by advancing the process. But obviously there's, it's not easy to do, and it's getting everybody to work together on that. So, so we are kind of considering the costs involved in it, making it happen. Have you, Bill, a question for you since you're on? I haven't seen any other questions, but are there designers, you find projects where they want to go beyond the coordinate PA system, and can we move forward? And do they work through you at all in doing more exhaustive and more thorough investigations?
Well, again, SUE is in our law. Any project that is $400,000 or greater must use the sufficient level of SUE. We are in a process of amending our law in 24, and that will change the sufficient level to the SUE process, the sufficient SUE process, so that everybody gets confused by the levels. So we're trying to do away with that portion of it and make sure that they use the adequate amount of subsurface utility engineering work to not have a damage that's preventable.
Member Johns, James Wingate has a hand raised.
Oh, Mr. Wingate.
Hi, as much as I want to put a planning and design ticket in place, I think that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, in that in my experience, we get a lot of engineers who are frustrated because they can't get the utility operators to respond. So unless the planning and design ticket is legislated, I don't think that that should be the first thing we should focus on, because, you know, you can have DigAlert and USA North build a system, or the state builds a system, or we become a partner with Pennsylvania or whatever. But until the utility operators are required to respond, I think we're not going to advance forward, and we'll still have excavators or designers creating tickets when they're not really ready to put shovel in the ground. And so I think the first thing we need to do is get the stakeholders to agree on what's a reasonable time frame to respond, and what manner should be they should respond. Like, are drawings okay? Or if the drawings are not suitable, do they have to put marks on the ground, and who makes that decision, and can they charge for it? All those types of things I think need to be worked out first before we get into the mechanics of a ticket system and things like that. So just my 2 cents on the order that we should do things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wingate. That's the purpose of this, is really to get the comments, get understanding, and yeah, get participation from everybody. Anybody else have any thoughts on that, or explain what you're doing in your as a designer, or really just, yeah, looking to get some thoughts and some feedback? All right, well. So not having any more discussion on that, let's move on to the next slide.
Bill, I put something in the chat if I didn't want to keep butting in, so.
All right, you can jump in, so.
So it's been in our law from the get-go. So we've never had a non-design environment. That's been in the law forever. So again, making it part of the law is a critical component of this effort. They're not going to pay attention or do it on a volunteer basis because it's additional work in their eyes, even though it's going to save everybody a lot of aggravation and potential damage to facilities that, you know, that whole ongoing process. And the reason that our coordinating committee meetings work is because we're showing and sharing and working together to make those projects successful.
Do you remember the process? You said it was from the beginning, but the law getting involved, or how you got things, you know, how it was legislated and the steps forward? Because I mean, starting back with the one call system back in the 70s, yeah, how did it, the history of it?
My very first meeting, they passed out this sheet of paper that had the law on it. And Columbia Gas had put that law together and got it introduced, and no one really knew what it was until it actually was law. So going at it that was easier.
But now that was the coordinate PA. I mean, the design portion that was in the law early, or did it?
Yes, the original process was that the utilities had to file with the recorder of deeds in each county. Every municipality and every street name that they had facilities on. And then the designer had to go to the recorder of deeds and pay for $1 a page for the information for that utility, and then go contact the utilities individually. So obviously when one call started to grow after the law passed, we were in 75 when the law took effect. We only served the 11 county area in southwestern PA. And by 77, we were statewide.
So Mr. Wingate, kind of a counter question for you. And you could just a real broad brush, you know, comments. but saying that we need to have, legislate it, what would kind of be the, would it be, generally speaking, what would you see that how we would legislate this, just kind of top of your head, give us some feedback. Did I lose you, Mr. Wingate? Serves me right for putting them on the spot.
No, I'm here. I just had to wait for the host to unmute me.
There we go.
No, I don't claim to be the expert. This is a very complex project, and I'm not an engineer and I'm not a utility operator, and that's who we're trying to get to talk to each other, right? The one call centers just serve as the communication link between the two, just like we do with regular tickets. So I'm probably not the best one to ask, but I think it's we ought to start with the concept of do we want to charge, yes or no, to allow the utility operators to charge, yes or no, for their drawings. That probably ought to be question number one, because this is a case of one hand not knowing what the other hand's doing, where these utility operators are really big, and so there's one arm that is responding to requests for their drawings about their facilities that they own for other projects, but then they also have their own projects going on where they're requesting that information from others. And so you almost need somebody high enough up the food chain that can see both sides of that and say, let's just call it a wash, because we either charge people to give out our stuff, but then we also pay to get their stuff for our projects, or we just call it a wash and we all give it for free, as long as it's vetted by an appropriate engineer. And maybe we have some, engineering requirements to vet with whatever state organization grants those licenses to confirm that the person asking for the design information has the proper credentials, so to speak, from a Homeland Security perspective. So I think that probably ought to be the first step, is getting the stakeholders. And that sounds like, okay, let's just do that step and move on. But I think that's actually going to be really hard. So I think we probably ought to do that one first. But then also agreeing on the time frame about how fast to respond. We probably need the engineering community to find out. I know the Underground Safety Board staff did a survey about how far along in the process they want the drawings from other utility operators. I don't know if that's, the results of that can be taken into account to say what stage you want to do it, or maybe you don't force it to happen at a certain time, but just know that they can't dig on it, and so that'll dictate their own time frame. So anyway, I think that's where I would start if it were me.
All right. Well, thank you. Just kind of followed up on what you had stated before, because it is, and just so important on that as a designer, even the next process down the road of the potholing in level A, to have your homework done beforehand, it makes your whole process more effective, more efficient, less cost, less dry potholes and all that stuff when you start having the planning up front. So it ultimately is in everybody's interest, but to get the ball going, it's not easy. All right, well, we're running short of time here. Everybody can see the question here, and I guess kind of save your comments and we can send them in and follow up that way. I see something on the chat here. But I guess we'll go into the closing motion. Thank you all for your comments today. It has been a good discussion, and appreciate insight of everybody. So we'll, because that will move on to final comments. So if staff can move to slide 11. All right, so I'd like to again encourage everyone to contribute your written comments by emailing the board at digboard@energysafety.cad.gov. And you are welcome to write the board at any time. And please invite anyone who may find a topic relevant to provide their feedback as well. You can find the materials for today's workshop in the board's e-filing docket at the link on display now. And
Bill, if I may, really quick. I've
okay,
been so
perfect.
quiet. I just want to thank Bill
Oh.
and Marcos for this presentation. I'm usually not quiet, so I'm speechless.
You
It's
have
a
been
great
quiet, and I
program and
appreciate.
it's certainly given us a lot of goals. So thanks for keeping me quiet today. So we appreciate your presentation.
Happy to help.
Thank you.
And again, I mentioned in the chat that our section 4 is the designer section in our law. You're welcome to take a gander at that, and it's on our website, or so that and our user's guide is also, and it's searchable under design, so you can help yourself to those bits of information.
Thank you.
All right, so seeing no other business, if no board members object, we'll adjourn the meeting. We appreciate everybody's participation, and we'll use your insight to inform our planning and design work. We look forward to seeing you all at our next board meeting, which is scheduled for July 10th and 11th. And the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all for joining us in this workshop, and stay safe.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, and thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.